Okay, so welcome here tonight. We're going to have questions and answers at the end. So if you have any, just jot them down or mentally take the task at the end because we're taking the program. You should have all gotten a handout. Everybody got their handout? Okay. Anybody not get a handout? Okay. So we're talking about immunity because it's September. And pretty soon, we all know that the flu season comes and the colder weather comes, and everybody starts having the challenges of office parties and Halloween candy and things like that. And next thing we know, people are getting sick all over the place. It's a pattern every single year, and it's miserable. And we typically have to run off and have expensive doctor visits or urgent care visits and take lots of meds. And I just don't think that's the way it's supposed to be, and so we're going to talk about how we don't have to have that happen tonight. Okay, so this is the season, the perfect storm for disease. If you look at the picture, the most important part is the stress, and right up above it to your right is the sugar. So starting in Halloween and cascading into all the holiday parties is the biggest cause for why we get sick. It's a perfect storm. All these things come together at this time of year. Family stress and parties and drinking and, having to get that perfect present and so on. So that lowers our immune system, and then people cough on each other and in close places, and disaster. Next. Okay, so what do we do when we get sick? Typically, we start to get sick and we ignore it, right? We get that little scratchy throat or that really tired, slightly headachy feeling, or our sinuses clog up, or whatever our particular pattern is. And if we notice it at all, we just think, I'm going to tough this out. This is absolutely the wrong thing to do, but we do it and we wait until we're really sick and miserable. And so then we run off to urgent care or doc in a box, or we raid our grandma's, medicine cabinet, which you're not supposed to do. And the typical thing that we do around here is we go get a Z-Pack, which I'd never even heard of until I moved to Mobile. I had to ask what it was, but it's antibiotics plus steroids. Now, there's a place in medicine and in health for these things, but I don't think every year is the right place for it. Next. Okay, so you should always try to avoid taking antibiotics and steroids. These things are not candy. They do not grow on trees. They're not produced in farms, and they're not safe. If you doubt that, do a little Googling. There are approximately 100,000 deaths per year in the United States from medical treatments. I don't know what percentage of that is antibiotics or steroids, but what do people get most of the time? Antibiotics and steroids. And we have this mental feeling like, oh, I'll just get something that will kill the germs. I'll just kill it. But what frequently ends up happening is we get side effects, if not immediately, later on. Our immunity can be seriously challenged by the fact that we assaulted our system with something that killed all the germs, good, bad, and neutral, and that we destroyed our inner ecology. Then, just to make ourselves feel better for a short time, we had a steroid pill or a steroid shot, and the steroid shot told us that there was no problem, don't worry about it, you just feel fine. A steroid forces you to feel fine when in actuality your body is not fine. It's supposed to be fighting infection. So we shouldn't do that. The side effects are actually scary, and doctors have been saying for not years but decades we are way overusing antibiotics, creating resistant germs and side effects, and we still go in and do the same old thing. Partly because we don't have good alternatives. We don't want to be sick, we don't want to feel bad, so what do? Well, we don't have alternatives. Tonight we have alternatives. Okay, First thing I want to talk about is what it's like to be sick, and one of the first things your body does when it starts to get sick is produce something called histamine. Everybody has heard of histamine, right? Because at the drugstores they sell antihistamines. So, what is this evil histamine that our body persists in making despite the fact that we want to be healthy and feel good? Well, God did not make a huge mistake in making our bodies make histamine. Histamine serves a purpose. When your body is exposed to germs, your white cells become aware of them, usually by eating them. They run into it. Say if you have a white cell in your bloodstream and it runs into a bacteria, a virus, somebody sneezed on you, something got past your outer defenses and went in, and your white cell finds it and it says, this is not me. This is not self. I'm going to eat it. So it does. Your white cell eats the germ, digests it, and figures out that, yes, indeed, this is not me, and it puts little antigens, they call them, on the outside of itself, and it teaches all the other white cells what it just ate, and that this is the forerunner of an invasion. And your immune system then jumps into action, and your white cells start to release histamine. The purpose of histamine is to thin your blood, to open up wider spaces in your capillaries, your tiny blood vessels, so that those white blood cells can easily move through and crawl into the places where the germs are hiding out. So it actually enhances your immune response. After the histamine has done its job, then the liver is supposed to clear it out, and you won't even really notice that you had a histamine surge. You might have a slight sniffly nose or feel a little sleepy. One thing that histamine does is make you sleepy. You think maybe if you're fighting off germs, it might be a good idea to rest? Histamine thinks so. So histamine is actually your friend, not a foe. Now, if you ignore histamine and what the cause of the histamine release is, you're going to have your body releasing more histamine, and even more histamine, and then histamine will indeed make you feel very miserable. If your liver is congested because you've been eating fudge and peppermint drops and eating, drinking cocktails and pounding Tylenol, for instance, your liver's going to be laboring under a lot of work to do there. It's not going to be able to clear that histamine. It's not its top priority. Histamine doesn't really hurt you. And that histamine is going to build up. You may even get hives or a rash or a histamine headache. You're going to feel sore. Why? All because your body's trying to clean up. So that's the story of histamine. We do have ways of helping the body naturally clear histamine that are not harmful. We don't want to stop our histamine response. We want to stop whatever is setting off that histamine response. Histamine is also released when you eat things you're allergic to. Your body says, no, that's hurting me. We're going to clear it out fast. It releases histamine, and it makes you miserable, but it clears the stuff out before it can damage you. So, okay, these are the list of just most of the symptoms we would associate with histamine. But what do we also associate with them? That's what I feel like when I'm sick. Right? So let's try to avoid triggering that release of histamine. Next. Okay. I am constantly amazed at how people casually take antibiotics. People have died from taking antibiotics. I don't know if anybody pays attention to these things, but I do. I think this started when I was very young. I had an uncle who went into the military and got sick and had a penicillin shot. And it wasn't his first penicillin shot. He'd never had a problem before. So when they asked him, are you allergic to penicillin? He would have said, no. But he reacted to that penicillin shot, nearly died of a reaction to it. It's not something that you have every time or always, but it happens. That's why they ask you if you're allergic, so that they don't give you the same antibiotic. There's been a lot of flack in the media lately about the particular antibiotic, sucrose. And we have some side effects, I think, listed. Do we have that slide there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the drug family, fluoxetine. And this is not minor stuff like, oh, I got to look at okay. One of the things that is not so reversible when you you take with Cipro, they found is that it can cause tendon rupture. The biggest tendon in your body, your Achilles tendon, has been known to just rupture from taking Cipro. And some of the smaller connective tissues will also do that. And I don't think they really understand the mechanism why that works, but antibiotics interfere with the metabolism of cells and with bacteria on a very deep, profound level, and sometimes we have side effects. But it isn't just Cipro. Every antibiotic has potential side effects. The more you use them, the more likely you are to have a problem with a side effect. Don't you think it's a good idea to save that antibiotic for when you may be in a life-threatening situation, where you may be, with an uncontrolled infection that might be spreading through your body? This does happen occasionally. The biggest problem that we have nowadays with those situations is the antibiotics don't work. Why? Because you took it twice a year, every year for 20 years. The germs are smart, they adapt. So, and they put them in food. Like they'll feed antibiotics to chickens a lot. That's why we want to get chickens raised without antibiotics, because when the chickens eat it, we get it too. And we get the germs from the chickens, which are antibiotic resistant. So the thing is, God didn't leave us helpless until they invented antibiotics, which was just a few decades ago. People survived up until then. Not everybody, but we still aren't always surviving. Your body has its own immune system by which it attacks the germs. We should use that whenever possible and save the antibiotics for when we really, really need it. Okay, next. Then, the steroid shots. And as part of the Z-Pak, the steroids. Cortisone, or prednisone. These are man-made derivatives of something that your own little adrenal glands make for you every single day, and that is the hormone cortisol. The cortisol, but most of us have heard of cortisol because you see ads on the internet. So you have that cortisol belly, and then they want to soak you some or something. Well, cortisol is released from the adrenals in response to stress. So it has the effect of dampening down the immune system and letting the body attend to other things, like whatever is stressing you out. If you have stress all the time, which is not how we were designed to live, then your immunity will chronically be low. There's lots of ways to manage stress in our lives, and sometimes we have to manage our hours, our family, our schedule, or whatever. But eating junky food and lots of sugar and fake foods and being exposed to some of the things we tend to think are part of the holidays is a great way to stress our bodies, even if mentally we're not stressed, we're physically stressed. So what cortisol does and what cortisone and prednisone do is they turn down the immune response. Now, why would our bodies turn down the immune response? Your body turns it down when it's done. So when your body is cleaning house, dealing with germs, clearing out toxins, it doesn't want cortisol, but as soon as it's basically done, it wants to clean up the mess and calm down all the activity, then your body will produce cortisol. So it tells, cortisol is like, okay, we're done, we're going to clean up and go on with life. Well, what happens when you get a steroid shot is your body is trying to clean house, trying to kill viruses, kill bacteria, clean up the mess that's made when that's happening. And because we don't like how that feels, we go get that steroid shot and bingo, yes, we feel fine the next day, but your house did not get clean. Your body did not fight off that infection. And it doesn't go away. It just sort of goes underground for a while. Your body's not fighting it. So over time, your immunity, you just build up a backlog of viruses and even bacteria, and you have a lot of house cleaning to do. And if you never let your body do it, you're going to be sick. You may never have a fever. You may never be full of mucus or congestion. You're going to be tired and miserable. You're going to have aches and pains, and your body may even develop autoimmunity because it just can't get rid of any of the other infections. If you let your body clean things frequently, it'll be a small job. It's like if you're a housewife, not like me necessarily, but if you're a housewife and you do that little bit of cleaning every day or twice a week, whatever, your house never looks like a hurricane hit it. But if, I don't want to give myself away here, but I don't clean all it as often as I should. And when I go to clean my house, it looks like a hurricane hit it. And hopefully when I finish it up, it'll look better. But it actually looks way worse until I get it done. And that's what it's like when you don't let your body clean frequently. By the time you really get sick, you're going to be fighting a big one. Okay. So these are just some of the things that can happen when you take cortisone. Most of the time, it makes you feel better, but there are times when you have bad reaction instantly. Shouldn't we try to get our bodies more in line with nature and the way that we're made to handle immunity, toxins, stress, germs, and so on? The one thing that I think people don't realize is that steroid shots turn down metabolism. So if you're trying to build up tissues and repair them, they make it that process is stopped. If you're having cortisone shots all the time, say you have a bad knee, and you might get a cortisone shot, and if you're lucky and nothing bad happens, it feels better. But what if it's back in a week? You haven't dealt with the underlying problem. You go keep having cortisone shots, that knee is not going to heal because what you're doing is you're stopping the repair process. The repair process can be painful. There can be swelling, there can be tenderness, and the reason is because your body wants you to stay off of it. So if you keep making that process stop, your body can't rebuild bone, cartilage, muscle, or anything else in there. You're always going to have a butt knee. You're never going to solve the problem. That's not to say one shot might not help, but if you have to keep having it, it's never going to be right. Okay, so if we don't want to take antibiotics to kill the germs, and if we don't want to take steroid shots to shortcut and feel better right away, you just suffer or what? What do we do? That's really a good question to answer. Okay. Next. Okay, the main thing is you prepare, and this is really nothing more than a healthy lifestyle. We all know the flu season's coming, but we shouldn't just live badly for 3/4 of the year and then go, oh, flu season's coming, I guess I'll just eat parsley. So you want to prepare, and you want to get familiar with these things. We have lots of powerful tools. One thing I want to see people do is get familiar, for instance, with essential oils and supplements and healthy eating now. And I would say almost every single patient that continues with our office for any length of time is amazed that I didn't get as sick this year, or I didn't get sick at all this year. And usually that happens the first year that people notice an improvement. Or we see a lot of little kids where mom brings the child in because they get sick all the time. And we just tweak the diet, they have to quit eating the Cocoa Puffs and tricks and, get some real food in. Maybe we give them some supplements, and we talk about allergies and so on. Get them into a better lifestyle. And lo and behold, little Johnny doesn't have the sneezes and the allergies, and he doesn't get all the runny noses. He might get one or two, that's okay. But he's not sick every week. And that's a huge difference. He's not missing school anymore. Please change. Okay, so at Atlanta Wellness, we put together kits to make it easy. We'll talk a little more about immunity in a bit, but I want you to know that it can be easy to stay well. The first thing to know is healthy diet, but I think every single person in here has had some familiarity or maybe a lot of familiarity with a healthy diet and is working in that direction. So let's assume we've all changed up our diets a bit, but we still don't live in the Garden of Eden and the germs are coming. What shall we do? Well, the first thing you have to do is give your body all the ingredients that it actually needs in order to make the immune system happen and to deal with the germs. It takes energy, it takes nutrients, it takes enzymes, it takes antioxidants to maintain a good immune system. Just like when you do your car, it takes not only gas, but you've got to have oil, and you've got these other fluids, power steering and transmission and all that. Plus, if you really want it to be good, you might want to clean out the inside, wax the outside now and then to have a nice vehicle. But if you're going to take care of your body, and especially your immune system, you have to give it some things. So our main thing here is Catalent, which we have in gluten-free, or for those that are really sensitive to wheat, or chewable for kids who will actually munch down the pills and they taste a little better. Or the basic one, which is the one that I chew, even though it doesn't taste better. I just have to train myself to like it. It tastes kind of like dog food, so but that's good. Catalent is an amazing formula that was put together by Dr. Royal Lee, a dentist. Well, we call him a dentist, but he actually took dentistry in order to learn how to work with dental patients. And the dentist was the tool. Anyway, he was part of the nutritional research generation between the 20s and the 60s, where nutritional research was just popping. Nutritionists all over the world, scientists and doctors were communicating with each other. They were so excited. They were discovering vitamins and nutrients and doing research. And then our society kind of moved away from that in favor of drugs. But Catalent was Dr. Lee's #1 supplement, and the first one that he made, and he marketed to MDs for years. As chiropractors, we just adjusted backs back then and didn't mess with pills. That was for the medical doctors. Now the medical doctors have let this incredible tool fall into disuse, and so chiropractors have picked it up. So Catalent was made according to the principles that only whole foods would be used, and every vitamin that they knew would be in it. At that time, they knew of 4, right? But they kept discovering them. Every time they discovered an essential vitamin or a substance that was extremely beneficial for health, they checked in Catalent and it was already in there because it was formulated right from the beginning. So it's an incredible thing, and I've used it for years. I first noticed how beneficial it was when I had my mother visiting me and she got sick. And I gave her all the stuff like herbs, great herbs. I'm really good with herbs, and she didn't get well. And finally I thought, we're missing something, so I gave her Catalent and she was well the next day. It just has all those mysterious missing ingredients. I'm sure we're still discovering them in there. So that is something I recommend and to almost every patient, unless you're eating like a saint and have for a long time. You're going to need Catalent to really prepare. Just think of it as your multiple vitamin, but it's not one of those artificial, whole hard-derived synthetics. It's the real deal. Okay, so after preparing, we want to defend ourselves against what's coming. We have a couple of kits to do this. This one, Immuplex, is capsules of everything your body needs to build an immune system. Immuplex is not what you take when you're getting sick right now. It's what you take now so you won't get sick later. Because if your immune system is ready to roll, when it meets those germs, it's going to knock them out before you even know they have an encounter. So Immuplex it includes all the nutrients that your immune system needs, and especially high doses of the ones that your white blood cells need to reproduce and function and do their job. So that's the one. If you tend to have low immunity, I would recommend that one the most as you go into the cold and flu season. There are different levels that you can take, and we can talk to people individually if they're not sure how to use it. Another one that goes with it is the best immune booster in the world, Echinacea. Now we've all heard about Echinacea, and a lot of people have tried it and been disappointed. The reason is American Echinacea is not at all regulated, and I'm glad it's not because regulation brings its own problems. However, we get our Echinacea from Australia where it's correctly regulated, and when the different strengths of Echinacea have been assayed, Australian Echinacea is 2.5 times stronger than the closest competitor, than the best the U.S. has to offer. So we use Australian Echinacea only. Tablet form of 1 a day is a fantastic immune booster, and you can take it all the time. It's not really competitive. So those two together are your prep, and most people will sail through the cold and flu season, if they're reasonably healthy with absolutely no problem at all, and those two alone. As a bonus, we throw in D because as the sun goes away, most of us get a bit deficient in D. And most of us don't get enough sun even in the summer because it's so darn hot, we're in the air conditioning, right? So we're throwing that one in with our kids because we want everybody to have enough access to D, and it's a very easy form to take. One drop is 2,000 IUs, and it's a very pure form, and it's the active form, D3-fluorocalcium. Next. Okay. What if you're somebody who doesn't like to swallow pills? Or what if you have children? Yeah. Or what if you eat very well and just want an extra boost? You maybe don't need to have the Immuflex. You've been eating healthy for a long time. Some of our patients have done that. This is when I would recommend the Winter Immune Tincture. It's a great combination of herbs that are adaptogens and immune boosters, and you just take like a little shot, and we're going to have samples, right?
Yes.
Okay. You can mix it in a dark juice, or you can just mix it in a little water and chug it. And I don't think it tastes bad at all, but I don't know, I think Tommy and I disagree. Anyway, I highly recommend it, and it's the easiest one for children, or if you're in good shape and just want that little extra boost, I would recommend the Winter Tincture. And I think we're giving away the D with that also. So you'd have 2 liquids, your immunity's taken care of. Next. Oh, those tinctures are hand mixed in our office from the finest herbal extracts from Australia. They are strong, they are pure, and they work. Okay, so now I want to talk about immunity. We have an acute kit, right? That's coming up later. Okay, we'll get to that. Once in a while, in spite of the best laid plans of mice and men, and we don't think we're going to get sick, but some really nasty germ gets sneezed right at us, or whatever. We have an acute situation, we have an acute kit, but we'll get to that later. Okay, so. I don't need notes. So let's talk about immunity a little bit more. God gave us an immune system because there's germs out there. Now, there's also germs in here. There are germs inside us, outside us, and all around us, and that's good. Our best friends are germs. We have more DNA in our bodies from the bacteria inside of us, most of which is friendly to us, than we do in our own cells. The way that can happen is bacteria are so much smaller than our cells that there can, even though, we're bigger than our bacteria, their DNA is in there and there's more of them. So, how do we get along with these germs if they do get out of hand? We have our immune system, and it's starting at the top, we have these different points. At the very top, we have our adenoids. What do we mostly do when they get a little large and clogged? Chop them out. Okay? Most of the time that's not necessary. They're, with right nutrition and even a little herbal nudge or essential oils used, those adenoids usually shrink. Very often they're enlarged because of allergies, or sometimes we just have things in the air that shouldn't be there. Now sometimes we can't help that because we have a lot of agricultural spraying, or the mosquito truck is coming a little too often, but sometimes it's our own fault. We're using all the smelly stuff in our houses, we don't air out, and we're using chemicals. Our adenoids don't like that. When they're swelling up, they're trying to get rid of toxins for us. Okay? They can't help it if they get so big that they can't breathe easy anymore. Okay, so below the adenoids are the tonsils. Those are also very popular to yank out. When I was a kid, they would take the tonsils out whether you had a problem or not. It's like, let's just yank them out. Who needs them? And then they discovered that they might have some function. Back then, we thought we knew a lot about the immune system, and then we found out we didn't know anything, and now we really know a lot, we think. I still trust Mother Nature more than what we think we know. Anyway, the adenoids, the tonsils, the lymph nodes, which are those little black areas, and are spread all through the body, and what's pictured to the left that's called Peyer's patches, and some other things, the lymphoid tissues in the lungs and so on. Those lymph tissues, we notice that when they swell up and get sore, what do we want to do? I don't know, fill girl, take on your throat. No, those lymph nodes are doing a job for us because what happens is the toxins, the germs, the garbage, the debris that our cells and our bodies deal with gets drained into our lymph system and travels along minute little vessels, gets to the lymph nodes, and the white cells are in there and they eat it and they recycle it and they get rid of it for us. And if we are very toxic or full of germs, they'll swell. So they're just doing a good job for us. We shouldn't think bad thoughts about them. Our lymph system is very important. We would die without it. So, let's see. Go to the next slide and see if that's okay. I'm going to say a little bit more about immunity first. Who's had a blood test when they've been sick? You know, they take some blood and they do a complete blood count. Anybody, does that sound familiar? Yeah. So what's the doctor looking for? He's really looking to see if your immune system is working. But we tend to panic and go, oh look, I have a high white count. I'm sick. Well, we don't want to lower the white count. That's your body working. It's evidence that your body is fighting an infection. The infection may be a problem, but the white count isn't. It's like when we get a fever. Our body creates a fever because a slightly hotter environment is a better environment for our immune system to fight germs. And what do? Oh my gosh, I have a fever. I better take a couple of Tylenol. I'm sick. I bet we feel like when we get rid of that fever, we've gotten rid of the problem. No. Fever is a sign of first responders. If we have a burning building and we see firemen, police, and ambulances there, we look at all these cars and flashing lights and we go, there's a problem. But do we ask the first responders to leave? Do we like, get out of here, we don't want a problem? No, because there's a burning building, right? That's the problem. Our white cells, our fever, our illness symptoms are the first responders. We don't want to get rid of them. We just want to take care of the problem so they can go home. So, just for a brief example, how are we doing for time? I don't want to keep you all night.
We've been 30 minutes.
30 minutes? Okay. I think I have time to talk about the immune system a little. This is what happens. When germs, meaning viruses, bacteria, fungus, mold, or chemicals, get into your body, your nervous system is aware of it, but it can't move. Your nerves stay put. They have a wonderful extension called your immune system, and that immune system takes the form of all these various kinds of white blood cells. They float around in your bloodstream. They're moving all the time, so they're on patrol. So when they get to the germ, they get over close to it, and they know it's not you. It's not you. So they eat it. At that point, that white cell that has engulfed and eaten that germ, it's taken care of that germ, but has it taken care of all the germs that are probably on the way? Probably not, right? Because what do germs do? They multiply. Somebody sneezes on you, and a few germs get inside of you, and they start replicating, because that's what germs do. Well, your immune system does the same thing. As soon as one white cell runs into one, say, bacteria, and recognizes it, not only does it eat that one, it creates a whole external signaling system, and it signals all of its friends, the other white cells, to react to that same germ. And then they all start dividing so there will be more of them. At this point, your white cell count goes up and you may start getting a fever if your immune system thinks that's a good idea. So, are you sick? Yeah. Is it because of the fever or the white cells? No, of course not. Now, the great thing is, when the whole germ warfare thing is over and your body has conquered those germs, what does it do? All those extra white cells floating around, they conveniently commit suicide. There's a word for it, it's called apoptosis. They just die, and they are cleaned up and recycled, and their ingredients are reused elsewhere in the body as much as possible, and anything that can't be gotten rid of eventually hits the bowel of the kidneys and is expelled as a toxin. So our body's really very, very smart. It has this whole process, and that's what our immune system does. We don't want to shut that immune system off, for instance, with the steroid shot, until the battle is won. You don't want to send the army home before the battle is won. Now, one thing about armies, they need food. An army marches on its stomach, right? We have to have MREs or something to eat, or our soldiers are not going to be able to function. Your white cells are the same. We often think of natural things that might help our immune system, like, oh, maybe vitamin C or colloidal silver. Well, those are of some use, but the main thing that your immune system needs is protein. Why? Because those white cells are dividing. You may have, you start out with 10 and you end up with 10,000 if you have a serious infection. And it takes protein to make cells. Another thing it needs is calcium. Calcium. How many people think calcium for my immune system? No, we think of bones and stuff, right? But calcium, your immune system has to have calcium. In fact, when white cells are triggered, there is an inrush of calcium into the cell, and that's what activates it and makes it able to move more quickly. It's like giving your soldiers a Jeep. Now, 6 of them can jump in there and they can drive fast. Without calcium, you're not going to get over an infection. So those are 2 major things. Now, do you need antioxidants, things like ginger red and vitamin? Absolutely. Those things protect the cells that we've got and encourage them to reproduce quicker and help them recover from damage better. They're very important. But don't forget the basics. Some of the most immune-compromised people are long-term vegans because if they don't eat very carefully, they don't have enough protein. So don't forget protein. Fortunately, in Catalin and in especially the Immuplex and so on, we have all the nutrients needed. And if you're eating a healthy diet and don't need extra nutrients, you've got the winter tonic, which gives you all the phytonutrients and immune boosters. But if your diet could be better, or you're really worried about your immunity, I would recommend using the Immuplex, or at least using Catalin with your liquid. Okay, so you have like your winter immunity tonic, maybe for the kids, but you have Catalin because they need the nutrients to even make that immune booster work. Okay, so what do we do? When you start to get sick, in spite of your best efforts, the first thing you have to do is listen to your body. This may be the hardest thing because we're used to plowing on through. Now, let's see, we're not going to, okay, listen, what are your signs and symptoms? I know mine. I get a little bit of a scratchy throat, and I'm tired. I just wake up feeling kind of thin. And I have learned, because I've learned to pay attention, because I have to tell all you guys this all the time, that when that happens, I need some extra immune support right now. Usually I'll go and take 4 Conjuplex, and then I forget about it. I'm done. I'm well again. So, but the key is listening early. If you wait till your body is screaming, it's going to take a lot more. So, you have to be prepared. And these are some strategies. You have to have food ready. What do we want to eat when we're sick? We want protein, right? And we want calcium. That will be in the supplements, because if you have dairy, that tends to increase congestion for a reason. Unless you have, some people do okay with raw dairy. Anyway, so I strongly recommend that those of you who haven't tried bone broth or meat bone broth yet, learn how to make it. And when you learn how to make it, or those of you who do make it, freeze some up. When you're getting sick, and if you're the person in the house that does the cooking, who's going to go out and buy that chicken and spend 3 hours making up a big pot of chicken soup? You want it right now. You want it available. I always keep frozen broth in my freezer, and I either put it in little ice cube trays if I want just a little, or I'll fill up mason jars or other different containers so that I have it available. And there's my grandma's chicken soup, Jewish penicillin, ready waiting for me. So we have some other ideas. You've got to stay hydrated because your body has to flush those toxins. That's what it's doing when you're sick. It's cleaning house. Without water, that doesn't happen very well. And if you have a fever, you get dehydrated quickly. You must drink water. One of the worst things you can do is drink any kind of commercial fizzy. I know when I was a kid, a lot of I was raised by grandparents and they were old-fashioned. So I was shocked to learn that my friends got to have 7-Up and ice cream and things like that when they were sick. Well, they stayed sick a lot longer than I did. My grandparents were giving that stuff. So we have suggestions for healthy Gatorade. I think the recipe is in our handout. And it helps you stay not only hydrated, but keep your electrolytes. And sometimes water is just not appealing after a while, especially for kids. So it helps you get more fluids down. And most of all, rest. That's what histamine does. Listen, you may miss a day of work, but that's better than missing 2 weeks of work if you get a serious complication. And I've seen it happen. We've all seen it happen. We know people who drag through and they end up in the ER. It happens all the time. Moms, is it really that important to send your child to school each and every single day? Why? Who's the school for? It's for them. Are they for the school or is the school for them? If they need to stay home and rest, let them stay home. Either if they go to school, they're going to share the germs, which is not good, or if they go and they're exhausted and depleted, they're going to be susceptible to germs. That's not good either. Keep them home. Okay. Let's see. Well, I already covered that slide. Eat well, and you won't get sick. Okay, so I just wanted to make a point here that breast milk is so awesome. It's really a shame we can only drink one way. It is so magical. The mother, when she starts making milk to feed her infant, any germ that she's exposed to, she's going to make antibodies to. Her white cells are going to make that, it's like handcuffs for the germs. Handcuffs for the bad guys, that's what antibodies are. And it's going to go right into the breast milk, and presumably the baby and the mom are exposed to the same germs at the same time because they're usually together, right? So mom is exposed to the germs, mom makes the antibodies, they go into the milk, and they go right into the baby. Most of the time, babies that are nursing just don't get sick. Maybe a little sniffle or something. Everybody else in the house might be kind of down, but baby's fine. Maybe a little fussy, no big deal. And it's because of the incredible miracle of breast milk. Breast milk is so special. The first milk that comes when the mother first starts lactating is called colostrum, and it isn't even like regular milk. My kids used to call that Lucky Brown milk. Anyway, that's another story. But if animals don't get that milk, they usually die of the scours or diarrhea or dysentery because they don't have the colostrum to prepare their digestive tract. In fact, humans are the only mammals that can really regularly survive without colostrum. And we shouldn't have to. It's nice that we can. But even if you nurse a baby for a week, you've done an incredible thing. So, and by the way, colostrum is something that anyone can add to their immunity regimen. We don't put it in the kids, but it's a tremendous immunity booster. Okay, now, so here we are, acute protocol. We've woken up with the scratchy throat. What do? Conjuplex is our immune system in a bottle. It has everything in it that your immune system needs, and it even has some immune system. There's thymus gland in there. The thymus gland is the master gland that controls the immune system, and it just provides what you need. So if you don't have enough immunity, take a few of your immune system pills, and you've got it. As I said, I get that scratchy throat, 1 dose of 4 Conjuplex, and I forget I was getting sick. If I wait a little too long, and I find that I'm really, really getting sick, I'll take it much more frequently, and I'll usually kick something in a day, 24 hours, if I catch it fast enough. Okay, going along with it, we have the Conjuplex Chewable for kids. If it's a tummy virus, we have another issue, don't we? Right? Massively quick visits to the toilet, possibly vomiting or diarrhea. That takes a special approach, and that is in the product called Cholacol 2, which is actually a bentonite plus bile salt product. It's going to clean and scour the intestine, but it's also going to absorb 2,000 times its weight in toxins. The reason you throw up, the reason you have diarrhea is because some nasty virus or tummy bug has gotten in there and is making nasty toxins, and they're extremely irritating. And your body, in its wisdom, decides to flush it out with everything it's got. You don't enjoy the process, but your body is trying to save you from infection. However, it's miserable. If you take Cholacol 2, the pills will do the absorbing, and your body will go, oh, okay, I don't have to do the 20-yard dash to the toilet 6 times this hour. It takes care of diarrhea very fast. It's so effective, we send it with people on mission trips. Excellent. So that's your acute protocol kit. Now, the colorful box in the middle is called oscillococcinum. Say that 3 times in a row. Don't ever voice text that word. Ever. And this is the magical flu remedy. It's a homeopathic. We have precise directions on how to use it. But if at the first sign of flu, you take a dose of that, you will feel amazingly better. It's just like magic. And if you start to relapse a little, take it again. Sometimes 1 or 2 doses is all you need. There's different ways that it plays out, but it's amazing. And you can buy it at usually Walmart or CVS. I believe we're getting a special, or how are we doing that? We're including it in the kit, or
It's a bonus.
Oh, okay.
It's a bonus for that kit.
Okay, are we doing for that kit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll get you some. But if you need more, Rite Aid, it's good. You might want to show the box, the picture to the pharmacist, because you won't be able to say the word. And it'll be hidden down somewhere with the flu remedies, and nobody will know what it is, but it's the best flu remedy in the store. Beats, Tamiflu, all of them. Okay, so we have a few add-on things for people who know that there are other issues that they get. There's people that say, oh, I always get that horrible deep cough, or oh, I go into bronchitis, or even deep lung stuff, possible pneumonia, or oh, it's always my sinus, that kind of thing. So we have special products specifically for those. Those are herbal. They're to be added to your basic protocol. They don't work as well if you don't have an immune system. If you need your immune system in a bottle, if you need to feed your body with Catalin, you need to do those things. But if you've done those things and you've got the sinus or whatever, there are very specific herbs that knock that stuff out. So we don't put them in kits, but if you know that you're that person, or if you develop something like that, get a hold of us and we'll get you on the right herbs quick. We will save you a trip to urgent care. Will save you from having to fall into the trap of the chronic antibiotics and steroids. Okay. Okay, let's see. All right. This is, you all have your handout? Okay, I just want to make sure you know how to use it. We have the basic acute protocol on the left. When it says basic, it means it's basic. You do it for everything. Everything. Okay? Conjuplex gives you an immune system, and it tells you how much to use it. Catalin, you add to it so that you get whatever you might be missing. Vitamin D, it's in your bonus kit. If you have thieves oil, it's fantastic, anti-germ, and has knocked out more of any kind of germ-related illness than anything in the drugstore. Okay? Rest, and absolutely do not give in to sugar. Okay? Do not do the, Mountain Dew or whatever to comfort yourself that you're so sick or whatever. Sugar, 2 teaspoons of sugar will knock your immune system out for 24 hours. How can you recover from anything if your white cells are in a coma? That's what sugar will do. So just no sugar. No sugar for you, no sugar for your kids if you're getting sick. Promise them some later, but not if you're getting sick. So once you do the basic acute protocol, then you find your illness, and they're in alphabetical order, and you can just scan through it, and when you find it, it'll suggest other things to do. You don't have to do them all, just do what you can and do what works for you. So all the variations are in there, and it's just very simple. Acquaint yourself with your handout, and this thing will get you through the winter and get your family through the year. And unless you break a leg or something, you won't have to go to urgent care. So, okay.
So you do the basic protocol and then you find your illness that you might be coming down with, like a sinus infection or a bladder infection, and you do the basic protocol plus the extra herbs that are available.
One thing, if you have got a stomach virus and you're vomiting, your most important priority is to try and get some of the Cholacol 2 down you, because that'll help stop the vomiting. But you can definitely, I mean, you know, you have to work with what you can do. Sometimes not good.
9 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay. How close are we to the end? Let's see. Okay, I already talked about Cholacol 2, and you can see a wonderful picture of what happens when you need Cholacol 2. Flu and fevers. Okay. Also, how many people in here are worried that they might get the flu? They get it now and then or every year? Okay. Rather than go over the protocol, I would say read the protocol, because if you use oscillococcinum correctly, it absolutely works. If you don't use it correctly, the potency is knocked out and it doesn't work for you. So, but if you read the instructions carefully, it will work for you, and if you're confused, text us or call us. Okay. Now, I found this book on Amazon recently, and I was so excited. I raised my kids according to this book. This was published in the 80s, I think. Dr. Mendelsohn, wonderful doctor, now passed away. How to raise healthy children in spite of your doctor. He was an MD and a pediatrician and very well, you know, great reputation, so he could say that. And he has given us a rundown of many things. I recommend the book. I still agree with almost everything in it, like 99%. And he has a wonderful section on fevers. People are so afraid of fevers, especially for children, and he details every bit of it. Now, I am condensing that information into about 2 pages, and if you're interested in it, I want you to, Mary, we can have them mark their sign-in sheet, and we will email you the attachments so that you can have the copy. It's really important to know, what does a fever mean, and should I do anything about it, and, you know, how do I handle a fever? Many people are made more sick because they overreact to a fever. And that will happen very often in medical clinics. They will overtreat a fever and make you sicker, especially children. It's really heartbreaking to see that happen, because usually the body will handle it by itself. If you as a parent know what the danger signs are, know when to wait, you know when to hold, know when to fold, you can handle fever. Fever by itself is not something to be afraid of. Okay? So I highly recommend it. Okay, let's see. I just want to emphasize that when your diet and when your nutritional status is wrong, then medicine really doesn't work. Even if you had surgery, if your body is malnourished, you don't heal very well. The body needs nutritional ingredients. When your diet is correct, medicine is most of the time not needed. If it is needed, you'll know. Okay. Let's take care of our bodies. It's not that hard. It's the journey we're all on. It's a good journey. It gets better and easier as opposed to worse and worse. We don't want to go into the downward medical spiral where you're just dependent on more and more. Okay? So, you do the best you can. I want to say I've had patients who didn't make it through the first year without getting sick, who then made it through the second year. So, you know, improvement is a process, but I encourage you all to go there, because this is the road that leads to health and wellness and feeling great, as opposed to looking for cures that really aren't involved.
Okay, so I think that's everything, and we can have questions and answers.